It's been a tough week for the city, tough week for the police bureau, tough week for our community.
Right now at 11, Portland police shoot and kill a man near Mall 205. What happened in the moments before officers pulled their triggers. Plus, cases of a contagious bacterial infection on the rise, why it doesn't appear there's a threat to the general public. And later, a windy Wednesday takes down trees and knocks out power to thousands. What's in store for the last few days of 2023? Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with 3 Portland police officers now on leave after authorities say they shot and killed a man this afternoon near Mall 205. Let's get right to Alma McCarty live in Southeast Portland. Alma, police say this all began with a call about a suspected shoplifter at the Target there. Now help us fill in the missing pieces. What happened next?
Well, David, it appears that there was a chase and then an altercation at the edge of the mall parking lot here behind me. And while police say that the suspect was armed and they recovered a firearm on the scene, one of the biggest questions that remains tonight is what prompted those officers who were involved to pull their guns and use deadly force. Around 3:30 Wednesday afternoon, officers from East Precinct responded to a call about a man they say was trying to steal from the Target store at Mall 205, a suspect they say that had a record.
The information that was broadcast over the radio was that the suspect had a warrant and was a suspect in a previously reported robbery case.
And that meant additional officers, including those with the Focused Intervention Team, which focuses on gun violence, also responded.
When the officers arrived, they saw the suspect leaving the store and attempted to arrest the suspect. The suspect ran away from officers, and at a location just west of the parking lot for Mall 205, there was a confrontation between the suspect and officers. 3 officers fired their weapons, and the suspect was injured.
The exact details of that confrontation still uncertain.
After officers approached the suspect, they determined not only that he was deceased, but they found a firearm next to him.
Also unclear whether the man drew his weapon or fired shots, or if the officers involved knew the suspect had a gun when they fired.
The reason that we don't specifically say is because we are still early in our investigative process.
Investigators spent hours collecting evidence, the crime scene stretching from the mall parking lot to Southeast 96th for nearly 6 hours.
It's not lost on me that these events, take a toll.
Police Chief Bob Day, who responded to the scene, told reporters he could feel the weight of the news.
It's been a tough week for the city, tough week for the police bureau, tough week for our community. Certainly those most significantly impacted, as we're reminded of the fragility of life.
Now, back live tonight, we should mention that the detectives would not provide any more information about the man who was killed, other than the fact that the previous robbery in question, well, that did not take place today, nor did it take place, they say, in the recent past. As for those officers who were involved, they were placed on administrative leave, which is standard protocol, while the Internal Review Board looks into this shooting, as does the Police Review Board. David?
Yeah, Alma McCarty reporting in Southeast Portland tonight. Thank you, Alma. You heard the chief there mention what feels like it's been a tough week, because in other headlines, Portland police have arrested the man they say fatally stabbed another man at a Mac stop on Christmas Eve. Police say around 6:30 Sunday night, the victim, 23-year-old Juan Francisco Orellana Gavarreta, got into a fight on the platform at the Providence Park station and was stabbed. That's the victim there in the photo. Officers found him on the Max train at the Goose Hollow stop. He died at the hospital. Police found the suspect, 22-year-old Edel Cruz Aragon, in Southeast Portland yesterday and took him into custody. He is now charged with second-degree murder. And as we get you caught up tonight, take a look at this crash recorded on video in Central Oregon yesterday on Highway 20 near Subtle Lake. Several emergency vehicles were pulled over to help a car that had slid off the road in icy conditions. That is when a commercial truck slid into the back of an Oregon State Police cruiser on the very left there you see, and then struck this ambulance. There was a patient inside along with 3 medics. Nobody was hurt. The driver of that truck was cited for careless driving. And power has largely been restored this evening after strong winds knocked out electricity to some 11,000 customers across the metro this morning. Canyon Road was blocked in Beaverton, and in northeast Portland's Cully neighborhood, power lines were down over cars, with tree branches also causing trouble. In Washougal, strong east winds toppled a number of trees, including a large one that landed on top of a house. Nobody was hurt, but you can see it caused some damage to the roof. All right, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino now with a first look at your forecast. So, Matt, how is it looking tonight?
You know, we've got showers out there. It's a little bit breezy, but nothing like the east winds of nearly 24 hours ago when we had gusts of 80 miles an hour, 84 at Crown Point. This is in the early morning hours at about 2 a.m. last night. Troutdale, though, had a gust of 54. The I-205 Glen Jackson Bridge, 45, and even the West Hills nearly 40 miles an hour. The values right now in Troutdale basically gusting to about 25 miles an hour, and in the Gorge they're gusting to about 40, so still strong, but not nearly as strong as they were last night. You can see the sustained winds here, 17 at Troutdale, 16 at Crown Point, but again, still getting some strong gusts out in East County, especially in the Gorge itself. Troutdale, the gusts have been below 30 miles an hour. Meanwhile, at the coast and some of the valleys, we're getting south winds and some pretty strong showers moving on through right now. Check this out. We're getting lightning strikes too up around Astoria. I see a band of strikes there and a very heavy shower over Washington County right now. So the rainfall amounts have been ticking up. You can see the lightning on the global lightning mapper offshore too earlier this evening as this band of showers was approaching the coast. Rainfall now, though, up to 2,700 suddenly in Hillsborough and nearly half an inch in McMinnville. Portland, a little bit more than what we had earlier, but still under a tenth of an inch. But Vancouver is now up to 1,800. So it has been increasing as the showers have picked up a bit tonight. But the east winds and the showers will continue to weaken overnight tonight. The mild temperatures will continue. We'll get showers again on Saturday. Otherwise, looks like pretty smooth sailing into the new year. And speaking of that, we got a rainbow for you. You'll have that in a bit, David. Back to you.
Looking forward to that. See you in a few, Matt. We have some new information tonight about a hit-and-run Christmas day in Portland that left a pedestrian dead. This was just after midnight Monday at Southeast Stark and 106th. This evening, police released a surveillance image of what they are calling the suspect vehicle. It's a maroon crew cab Dodge pickup. There it is there. They say it's a late 2000 to mid-2010 model. It will have a busted headlight on the driver's side, also some front bumper damage. If you see this truck or have any information on the crash, you are asked to call Portland Police. A little farther to the east along Stark, there's also been a significant development in another hit and run. I know it's overwhelming how many we've had this week involving a pedestrian, but this one was the day after Thanksgiving. We learned today the pedestrian has died from their injuries. Police say 72-year-old Randolph Stitt from Vancouver was thrown some 70 feet when he was hit by a vehicle on November 24th in Gresham at 192nd and Stark. Authorities have not found that driver, and businesses in the area today told us speeding and crashes just seem all too common.
In the last few months, we've had probably 3 or 4 car accidents right in front of our clinic here. A lot of horn honking from cars darting in and out of traffic, and we have a lot of pedestrians who run across. There's a concrete median in the road there, and so pedestrians constantly are running across there.
Officials say they are looking for a mid-sized SUV. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Gresham Police. Well, it is no secret that homelessness, addiction, and mental health remain among the top challenges and priorities for Oregon lawmakers. So starting New Year's Day next Monday, a handful of new laws around those areas are all set to go into effect. Blair Best with the details.
One doesn't have to look hard to see the issues that mean the most to Oregon voters, especially here in Portland.
It's a humanitarian crisis to have people living on the streets.
I've been coming here since '91, and I just see how it's exploded.
We need to be looking at this as an emergency.
State lawmakers like Democratic Representative Rob Noce hears them loud and clear.
It is not a surprise to me that voters are asking the legislature to do something to ameliorate housing and homelessness, to do something more about addiction.
He's behind a bill taking effect January 1st that changes parts of Ballot Measure 110. That's the controversial law that decriminalized certain amounts of hard drugs. He says there won't be any immediate changes around enforcement. Instead, this bill creates a group to oversee the money that's being put toward new addiction services.
What voters are hopefully going to see starting sort of right now is more treatment, more housing, more opportunity for detox.
Another law that starts next week makes it so those types of addiction services are available to inmates as well.
The only time that adults in custody can get access to drug therapy is just before they're released. And that is really kind of crazy.
Senate Bill 529 makes it so treatment is an option starting the first day of their sentence.
Substance use disorder is a chronic illness that needs to be treated as soon as possible.
But perhaps the most anticipated bill to take effect next year?
The bill is House Bill 2984.
It allows local governments to convert commercial buildings into affordable housing without requiring a zone change.
What we're trying to do with these commercial conversions is prompt all of us to think differently about how we do housing and how we can do it more quickly.
I think it's a waste of time and energy to have all these huge buildings and all these people that need a home.
Anything that brings more people downtown just helps the whole environment.
Now, there are many other laws set to take effect next week, including one that requires hospitals to hand out Narcan to patients who are there for treatment. Now, come the February session, another focus for lawmakers is whether or not to make public drug use a crime again, essentially reversing the most controversial piece of Measure 110. Blair Best, KGW News.
Multnomah County's ban on flavored tobacco and nicotine sales is also set to take effect on the 1st, barring a last-minute effort to block it. Last December, county officials voted to ban the products in an effort to prevent young people from getting hooked. Tobacco companies first sued the city, rather the county, which a judge dismissed, and then filed an emergency request to block enforcement of the ban, which was denied. So they're now asking a state court to intervene. If that does not happen, the ban will take effect on Monday. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead at 11 on this Wednesday night, new data from officials helps put the spread of a dangerous illness into perspective. And a Ukrainian Christmas carol dedicated to a local firehouse, why they were paid a very special Christmas visit. Stay with us.